Welcome to the Blossom Mindset, the path to blossoming into your fullest potential through everyday actions. I am your host, Lindsay, a behavior analyst, certified clinical trauma specialist, author, and entrepreneur. My passion is helping people create meaningful, positive change. Using a behavior analytic approach, I guide individuals to uncover their values, build self-awareness, and take intentional steps towards their goals and building their skill set. This podcast reminds you that you don't have to face life's challenges alone and is here to help you take the first steps towards meaningful change by increasing self-awareness and shifting your mindset with support and no judgment. Together, we'll explore topics like identifying your values, setting realistic goals, and learning practical tools to increase mindfulness and shift your mindset towards a more meaningful life. With guest speakers and actionable strategies, each episode helps you break through internal and external barriers, offering easy steps to create a life aligned with what matters most. This is the Blossom Mindset Podcast, your path to blossoming into your fullest potential, one action at a time. Let's get started. This is a friendly reminder that the information shared on the Blossom Mindset is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a one-size-fits-all approach and is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Remember, this is not a therapy session and is simply for educational purposes and serves as an additional resource for you. Your well-being is important to us, and reaching out for the right support is a vital step in your journey. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Blossom Mindset, where we get curious about how to grow, heal, and move forward with intention. I'm Lindsay, and in today's episode, we're talking about something that shows up every single day, whether we notice it or not. And it's one of my favorite topics as a behavior analyst, and that's behavior. Behaviors are something we all experience every day, but we don't often stop to unpack them. Before you hit skip because you think this is going to be textbook or clinical, stick with me. It's important to understand the foundation before we delve into other topics in the Blossom Mindset. The goal here is to help you understand what behavior really is and how it applies in your day-to-day life. Because the truth is, there's a lot of misunderstanding out there about what behavior really is. So let's start by clearing up some of the myths. When people hear the word behavior, they often picture something negative, like a kid throwing a tantrum, a child being defiant, someone being difficult, or maybe even teens destroying property. But let's pause right there. Behavior isn't just about acting out. It's not just about discipline, and it's definitely not about being good or bad. Behavior is anything you do, from brushing your teeth to biting your nails to going to the gym to doom scrolling an hour when you swore you were going to bed early. Behavior is also the internal thoughts and feelings you may experience, like being in the negative thought loop or the anxious feelings with your heart racing before you give a presentation. So let me say that again. Behavior is anything we do, both externally and internally. So let's break it down into two categories, and for this I will use clinical terms: overt and covert behaviors to help distinguish between them. Overt behaviors are the visible ones, the things people can see. The external behaviors, like sending a text, skipping class, eye-rolling during a meeting, lying in bed watching TikTok for hours, hitting somebody. And covert behaviors are internal. Your thoughts, emotions, memories, urges, these are invisible to everyone else, but they're just as real. Some examples are thinking, I'm never going to figure this out, or feeling anxious before a job interview. Could also be replaying an awkward conversation from 3 years ago you had with a friend. Both types of behaviors matter, and more often than not, our internal behaviors can drive our external behaviors. So let's break it down in an example. Imagine this. You walk into a social event and think, everyone here already knows each other. That's a covert thought. Then you feel this wave of anxiety rush over you, feeling left out, unsure if you're going to make friends or if you'll be accepted, and that's a covert response. And what do you do next? You might fake a smile, grab your phone, and pretend to text so you look busy. That's the overt behavior, the behavior that people see. I wonder if that's starting to sound familiar. pairing it with some of the actions that you've maybe experienced in your day-to-day life. So to further explain it, that's your internal world shaping your external actions. And there's another layer to it. You know what your internal behaviors are, but those that are watching you don't. Their perception in that moment of you may reflect a different judgment because they cannot see the internal thoughts you are having. Maybe you are perceived as rude or unapproachable for scrolling through your phone at a social event. But that's another topic we'll delve into on its own. Now here's the magic question I want you to reflect on. What is that behavior trying to tell you? Because behavior is never random. It's always telling you a story about your needs, your fears, your past experience, your nervous system. So why is behavior important to understand and not just always good or bad? So many of us grow up hearing things like, "You're being bad, that's not appropriate, you need to fix your behavior, she's just being shy." That's when I got as a kid all the time and didn't start to understand it deeper until I went on my own healing journey as an adult. What is important to learn from this is that behavior isn't about being good or bad, it's about being human. I like to think of behavior as feedback. You're not lazy because you procrastinate. You're not dramatic because you feel big emotions. And you're not broken because you freeze up during conflict. Your behavior might be trying to protect you, or soothe you, or help you avoid pain, even if it's not helping in the long run. There are so many factors that may be contributing to your behaviors, like your nervous system, your environment, how your body is feeling, and so much more, but we'll also delve into that in later episodes. For now, we'll focus on the foundation of understanding behavior. Generally, there's always a reason behind a behavior or action, whether you realize it or not. Now, throughout this journey, you will learn to shape your behaviors towards a version of yourself you desire, often aligned with your values. This goes along with building habits. Skills don't just appear, we often have to shape them. Maybe you're stuck in a loop where every night you tell yourself, "I'm going to bed early," but then you find yourself scrolling through Instagram or TikTok for an hour in the dark, and all of a sudden it's almost midnight. You know it's not what you want to be doing. You feel gross the next morning, you're annoyed with yourself, but the pattern keeps repeating. I wonder if that sounds familiar, because you're not alone. I've been there and sometimes still catch myself doing it, and I always regret it the next day. But this is where shaping behavior comes in. Shaping isn't about shaming yourself or going cold turkey. It's about making small, intentional changes that bring you closer to the behaviors that align with your values. Let's say your goal is to get better sleep and less stress. You could shape your behavior by setting a phone timer for 10 minutes of scroll time, and then putting it on Do Not Disturb. You could swap 10 minutes of screen time for reading or journaling, or maybe you move your charger across the room so you're not tempted to use your phone in bed. You could also replace the scrolling habit with something that still gives your brain dopamine, like playing with your dog, stretching, finishing one simple task like doing the dishes, or so much more. It's important to look at tiny steps as big shifts. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about finding new ways to meet your needs, ones that feel good both now and later. We don't want to just focus on the bad stuff. So often when we start talking about behavior change, we focus on what we want to stop doing, such as, "I need to stop procrastinating," or "I need to stop canceling plans," or "I need to stop zoning out in class," or maybe even, "I need to stop scrolling." But let's take a moment to pause and flip that narrative. What about behaviors you want to grow or do more of? Let's give some love to the positive behaviors too, because those are the ones that are going to start to replace or shape some of those negative behaviors. Some examples can be following through on something even when it's hard, or reaching out to a friend when you're feeling low, or taking a break before you hit burnout, and speaking up when something doesn't sit right with you. Could also be finishing all the dishes before you go to bed if that's important to you. Noticing what's working is just as important as noticing what's not working. It gives your brain something to reinforce. It teaches you that growth isn't always just about correcting mistakes, it's about shifting and building momentum from the moments that you did show up. I want you to take a moment to get curious and not critical of yourself. Here's a simple tool that you can use anytime you catch yourself in a behavior loop that feels off. So let's ask yourself these 4 questions. What was I thinking? What was I feeling? What did I do? And what need was I trying to meet? This kind of reflection helps you build self-awareness. You start to see the patterns, and you can start to become more aware of how your internal world affects your actions. And slowly, you gain power over those patterns. It all starts with self-awareness. You can't always control the thoughts and the feelings that show up, but you can influence what you do with them. It's about realignment and shifting, not perfection. So let's drop the perfectionism for a second. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about realigning with who you already are, underneath the fear, the habits you've already built up, and the autopilot responses you might engage in. So if you're stuck in a behavior that feels misaligned, ask yourself, what's this behavior protecting me from? Is there a gentler way to meet the same need? And what's one small step towards the version of me that I'm becoming that I can take in this present moment? It's important to remember that growth isn't linear. Sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And that doesn't mean you failed. It means you are learning. And just like any plant, you're allowed to bloom at your own pace. Before we wrap up, here's a journal prompt you can try this week. Name 3 behaviors you would like to shift. Then ask yourself, which overt or external behaviors do I want to increase or decrease? Which covert behaviors or internal behaviors are influencing those actions? And what values are guiding the changes that I want to make? I will also include a link to download a free journal worksheet in the show notes, so be on the lookout for that. It's important to start where you are, to be honest, and be compassionate for yourself. Here are some final thoughts as we wrap up this episode. Behavior isn't just about what you do, it's about what you believe, what you feel, and what your nervous system has learned to do to keep you safe. It's not about controlling yourself, it's about understanding yourself. And when you begin to bring curiosity and compassion to your behavior, that's where the true change starts. And then that's where you start to blossom. Thank you for tuning in with me today. If this episode resonated, send it to a friend who's navigating their own growth season. And remember, you are not behind, you are not broken, you're just becoming. Until next time, keep showing up for yourself. And as always, keep blossoming. Thank you for joining in on this episode of The Blossom Mindset with me. I hope that our discussion has inspired you to take actionable steps towards blossoming into your fullest potential. Don't forget, the best way to show your support is by liking, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review on this podcast. Feel free to drop any ideas for future podcast topics by commenting on my most recent Instagram post of this episode. If you are interested in additional resources or one-to-one coaching, check out our website linked in the show notes. I am so proud of you. By tuning in and listening, you just took one small, actionable step forward towards blossoming into your fullest potential.